everyone. Welcome back to D's Nerds. I'm Michelle.
I'm Chris.
And we're back with What Are We Watching? Volume 17. Alright, so we did something a little bit different with this haul because we looked at our movie list that we've watched since we did the last one of these, and there were 70 movies. And I don't think you really want to watch a 3-4 hour video of us talking about these.
I don't know if we want to create that one that long. By the end of it, we may just pass out and die.
I don't know, our capacity to talk about movies is kind of unmatched, so...
That's true. We're pretty good about that, so...
So what we did basically was we went through and took out basically all of our Christmas movies. So if you're interested in those, you can go and look at our Christmas movie collection video because that was what we watched. And then we also took out stuff that we've talked about a lot of times. Lord of the Rings, Harry Potter, Batman. And just spared you from listening to us blab about the same old thing. So what we've got here is a collection of things that we either hadn't watched in a long time, didn't really think we'd talked about on the channel much, or were totally brand new to us. So with that, let's get into it.
So this is one I watched by myself because I don't think you really had any particular desire really at the time to watch this. We may go back and rewatch it at another point, but this was before the Christmas season kicked in, so we were right at the tail end of Halloween kind of thing. So, but anyway, it was Death Becomes Her, which Goldie Hawn, Meryl Streep, Bruce Willis, and it's pretty much, it's a very cool dark comedy. I saw it whenever I was younger and really liked it, but I hadn't seen it since probably 12, 13 years old, something like that. Sorry, I dropped it here. But I haven't seen it since then, but I really liked it. It was really funny. And, I think this is something actually you would like. It's definitely a darker comedy, but come on. It's three legends just being awesome. So there you go.
I think at the time I was just kind of ambivalent about it. So, it wasn't like I don't want to watch this ever. It was just like, eh.
Yeah, it definitely wasn't in the mood at the time, but I was like, I want to watch it. So, and of course, Shout Factory, they have great stuff on here, great special features. They do have the reversible cover, which I haven't reversed to yet, but no, it was great. Definitely worth a rewatch again.
And next up, we've got Foreign Correspondent by Alfred Hitchcock.
Oh, so good.
This is another one we picked up in the Barnes & Noble 50% off. What are these called again? I just lost it.
Criterion Collection
specials. But Chris never buys movies at Barnes & Noble. I will never let it go. Never.
It's 2022 and I'm still not. I'm gonna leave now. No.
But anyway, this was phenomenal. And
I love
frustrating, actually. Like, the movie is frustrating just because of what's going on. You're just like, Urgh!
Well, it's typical Hitchcock. You're on the edge of your seat.
It's not horror at all, or scary. It's just suspenseful.
Yeah, it's just suspense, spy kind of stuff. And it's what Hitchcock does best, and it's just absolutely wonderful. Next one up is Lethal Weapon 2. Now, this was one that we've watched the first one here a while back and really liked it, but honestly, I didn't remember. If I did see it, it had been a really long time since I saw it. But I remember the second one a little bit more, specifically the toilet bomb scene. But I really liked this one as well. Danny Glover and Mel Gibson, great chemistry. We get introduced to Joe Pesci's character in this one. It was really good. It's considered one of the great 80s action franchises for a reason. It's phenomenal.
Diplomatic immunity.
Nope, not really. Not really at all.
Next up was one we were so excited to watch because neither one of us had seen it since we were kids, and it was a favorite. Space Jam! We watched it with Charlotte, and Charlotte loves Looney Tunes that she watches especially at Nana and Papa's. So she enjoyed this because she recognized all the cartoon characters, and of course for us it was just a huge heap of nostalgia.
Just getting Michael Jordan. If you're a child of the late 80s through the 90s, Michael Jordan was it. You weren't even that big of a sports fan at all, and you knew who Michael Jordan was. Come on. Well, that together with the Looney Tunes, this movie should not work. Normally whenever you have athletes kind of playing themselves in something something weird like this, it shouldn't work. But this one really does, and Charlotte just adored it.
Although, on that note, why is it that when Bill Murray just plays Bill Murray, it always works?
Zombieland, right? Yeah, Bill Murray just shows up out of nowhere, and I still love that line that him and Larry Bird him and Michael Jordan are talking about Larry Bird, and Bill Murray's trying to get Michael to get him into the NBA. And he's like, is it because I'm white? No, Larry's white. Larry's not white. Larry's clear. Great joke. I mean, come on, Bill Murray wins every time, but this is spectacular, and really especially happy that Charlotte enjoyed it.
Me too.
All right, so this next one is a movie I did a trailer reaction for, and then subsequently for like a year and a half or whatever, didn't pick up the movie to watch it or anything. There were a few times where it was like not in stock at Amazon and other places, so I just kind of bided my time and finally nabbed it and watched it on my own one night, and it was absolutely spectacular. But it was the animated Superman feature, Superman Man of Tomorrow, which, you know, if you've been following anything related to like DC animated movies and everything, they had a huge like 15 movie kind of in-universe story that they concluded here recently. And once they did that, they're doing some stuff that to me really doesn't seem all that connected. Like they've done, you know, Batman, of course, The Long Halloween, which we've talked about, which we really loved. And then this one was actually, I think, the first one in since the animated universe kind of concluded. But I really enjoyed it. I mean, it's Superman kind of going back to when he's just starting at the Daily Planet. He's younger. You know, Lois is younger. They're probably like, you know, late, you know, just out of college kind of age. And so it really, and just kind of his origin going and becoming Superman in that regard. And it's really cool. I mean, it's got Lobo in it. That's great. I mean, just a lot of cool things going on. You know, again, it goes back to Superman can be interesting, but you gotta let Superman be Superman, and you've got to go beyond the world of Lex Luthor and Zod. I'm sorry, like you've just got to do that, and this movie does that, and it works. So Warner Brothers, get your head out of your butts as far as live action goes, and give us a Superman that goes beyond Lex Luthor and Zod.
Next up, we had another one that we watched with Charlotte that I hadn't seen in a really long time, and that was The Incredibles.
I think I bought that. I had to have bought that I think I bought that before we even met.
I think so too. I don't think I remember.
And I'd watched it a couple times before that, but we have not watched it since. It sat on the shelf, but I really liked it, so we never got rid of it.
Yeah, it's a good one. It's still not my favorite one, but I do enjoy like the superhero thing they have going on in The Incredibles.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun, and we have the second one that we bought as well, and we'll be watching that here soon. Charlotte really loved it, though.
Yeah, she really enjoyed it a lot.
Yeah.
So we have been waiting a while to watch the Matrix Trilogy because we wanted to get the 4Ks and we wanted to watch it on our 4K TV. So we got them. They're so good. And I swear, like, I know people give Reloaded and Revolutions a lot of crap, but I think you just have to look at it as the big picture, like the whole story, and it's good. It's well put together, and it makes a lot. I don't know. I think if you just looked at them individually, yeah, it would seem kind of weird. But as a whole story, like looking at Lord of the Rings, you can't look at them really individually. You have to look at it as part of a whole story. I think they're great.
Yeah. I mean, obviously the first one is revolutionary and is really great. It goes without saying, but I really do enjoy the next two as well, and think that they're both pretty much like on the same level, a little bit below as far as enjoyability goes, but overall, I mean, it's a great trilogy, which then of course leads into The Matrix Resurrections.
Yes, which was something else.
Yeah, we watched it on HBO Max, and it's definitely one that I think the term meta has been thrown around quite a bit about that movie, but I really enjoyed it for what it was, but it was definitely, I could see where people didn't enjoy it.
Yeah, I think the thing about it being meta, especially in the beginning, is I kept making all these kind of like pointed comments about, you know, reboots and sequels that were totally unnecessary and all that blah blah blah. And I almost think if they had just taken that out, that probably would have been less annoying for people. It didn't really bother me. I found it kind of comical, but I could see where that would irritate people if they really felt like that was taking them out of the world.
Yeah, but I thought actually that was some of the parts I enjoyed the most. The idea that, you know, Neo accomplished all this great stuff throughout that trilogy, and then they literally relegated it to a video game.
Yeah. I
mean, the fact that they could take that and make it so small, I mean, was just really interesting. And I don't know if there's going to be a sequel. I mean, I know it hasn't performed that well at the box office. I know there's, you know, it's been pretty split. I know there's even reports that I've seen on stuff that, you know, the director did it just to kind of as a middle finger to Warner Brothers in a way. Like, I want to make this so crazy that, you know, because apparently, and again, social media, you can take it as far as you can. I mean, as far as believability there, but that they were going to do it, and that's where there's a line in the movie that talks about, like, you know, they're going to do this. Warner Brothers is going to do this without us. That's what they were going to do with the Matrix. So I guess it's just a big middle finger to Warner Brothers. So there won't be another sequel. But if there's not, I think it's in a good place. You know, I won't spoil anything in this for anybody that still hasn't watched the movie yet. But I think it's in a good enough place that I'm happy with this franchise if this is where it stays.
Yeah, it was good. I think there's definitely a lot of stuff left open for something to come after it, if that should be the case. I will say, Neil Patrick Harris in it, good stuff.
Neil Patrick Harris was absolutely spectacular in it. Of course, you know, Keanu Reeves, I swear, he's like, even if he makes a bad movie, it's going to be okay because it's Keanu Reeves. I mean, he's just so nice and so cool. And of course, you know, who's the actress that plays Trinity? I completely space on names. Carrie-Anne Moss, yes, thank you. I mean, she's great, you know, as always in that role. And I thought the way that they approached Morpheus in that was really interesting. Mm-hmm. At first I was like, okay, like, how is this working? Like, I kind of had to process how that is. I'm still not sure I'm exactly a fan. That may be the one part that I'm just kind of like,
I feel like this one got a little bit techie.
Yeah, it did get kind of techie.
Like in a way that was not as easy to follow, I think, if you're someone who's not a techie person. Mm-hmm. I mean, the other ones are techie just by the nature of what they are, but I think this one had a little bit more jargon and things in it that it was kind of like, what?
Mm-hmm. I mean, and there's some other things I would actually like to see explored more beyond, you know, Neo and Trinity and all that stuff, just like really digging down into what they go into it a little bit, like what happened between the third film and the fourth film, as far as like what happens with Zion, what happens with the machines themselves, what happens between, you know, there's actually, you know, this is a light spoiler, so but there is like a war between the machines at one point. So I would love to see more of that kind of out. I think really it's just more the outworld, you know, outside the Matrix, that world. I would love to see that be built up a little bit more and learn more about that. But yeah, I'm cool with where it's at now. That it's a good coda, I guess, if that's what it's going to be.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I want to watch it again to see if I kind of catch some more stuff that I was just sort of like mind blown too much for the first time. So I think it's worth watching. I think you should if you're a Matrix fan, mm-hmm. and then, you know, make your own decision. But we liked it. Yeah.
So this one here I watched by myself, and finally, like, it was one I was really excited about, and then it came out, and I don't know what was happening, but I missed the HBO Max streaming window, and, you know, we're really not doing theaters right now. But, you know, it came out on physical media, and picked it up, and finally got around to watching it, and really loved it. Suicide Squad, James Gunn. I really enjoyed this film. The first thing that you're going to say is, like, whenever you see all the cast and everything, and that was the thing I was partially worried about, was, oh my gosh, there's so many characters, how are they going to make this work? They do figure out a way to make it work, and it works beautifully. And it is brutal. It is really, really, really violent, really, really gory, really, really funny, and really, really awesome. I mean, it is just James Gunn unleashed, and you can tell he had such a fun time with this. I mean, yeah, everything. I mean, I think Peacemaker is definitely the standout of the film and kind of runs away with it, in my opinion. I think he's just absolutely awesome. But I mean, every character in this is just really well done. King Shark's another really good one. Polka Dot Man was really great. I forget Idris Elba's character on that. Bloodsport, that was it. You know, he was really great. And of course, you know, Harley, she does what Harley's doing Harley things as well. But I mean, it's really well done. If you like your hyper violence and action and everything like that, this is definitely it. I think it's definitely one of my top 5 movies of 2021. But, you know, Michelle did not watch it with me, and I know we did a movie trailer reaction for that, and it was, you know, pretty. It was like, okay, this looks cool, and then, but then, like, the more we, I'll kind of let your experience with all this kind of dictate that.
So okay, first of all, I really didn't love the other Suicide Squad movie.
For the record, I didn't either.
I didn't really care about the Harley Quinn Birds of Prey movie. I'm not into the whole, like, anti-hero sort of thing, I guess. I don't know what this would be called really, but I'm just not really into that game. And I noticed it more the older I've gotten too, but I just don't like, it's not necessarily the violence itself as much as it is like seeing the results of said violence, like all the gore that sometimes accompanies that, or sometimes the, I don't know, brutality of said violence. I just don't like that. And so knowing that that's what that was supposed to be, a lot of, I really wasn't interested, on top of the fact that I was already kind of like meh about the concept anyway. The thing that does make me laugh, and I don't know a thing about it in the movie, but just Polka Dot Man makes me think of Lego Batman. Because they're naming off all of these villains and they're like, surely you made some of those up. Nope, they're all real.
and of course you haven't seen the movie, but they do, James Gunn does a fantastic job of creating a character that really should be like a one-note kind of joke character and actually giving him quite a bit of depth and actually being one of the more interesting characters in the film. It was really amazing how that worked out. But, that's okay. I mean, at some point, if you do watch it, that's great. If not, I can definitely go back and rewatch it and enjoy it.
Yeah, for me, it's the I guess I'll just say anti-hero. I don't know a better way to put that, but that kind of character. I don't really care for Deadpool either, to be fair. So, I mean, it's just kind of that type, I suppose.
Yeah. Yeah, it is what it is. Followed up with it, there are some in this collection that kind of Michelle has given me the authority to sort of pre-watch and see if this is something that I think she would like, and I really hope that my judgment is good on that, because
me too.
I'm trying, for the record. But I watched this one without her, and this is one, it's Venom. Of course, I have never seen this up until now. I'm kind of feel like I'm getting caught up in the Spider-Man world a little bit better, and we've got another one. We'll talk about that, kind of similar. But I do think that this is one that you will enjoy. I'm really looking forward to you watching this at some point. Tom Hardy is just great in it. I can definitely see why this movie caught on out of nowhere, and I can also see why critics would hate it. But I love it. Just the interplay between Venom and Eddie Brock in this is really funny, and we just bought Venom Let There Be Carnage, so I'm excited to watch that and see how this story continues and how it's going to fit into the larger Spider-Man universe. So, it's really great.
So, this is one that we technically watched during the Christmas season, and it's Love Actually. This is a newer one for me. I know a lot of people, this is like one of their absolute favorite Christmas movies, and I don't know that I would say it's that for me, but I do enjoy watching it. Bill Nighy in this movie.
That's it for me. I love it.
That's the best part. He's such a jerk.
But it's like, he's a lovable jerk.
He is.
It's like he completely owns it, and it's just great.
Because I love it. I even love his initial scene where he's like trying to make this new Christmas song out of one of his old songs, and he keeps messing up the lyrics. It's just this whole big thing.
And he's like willfully like on the air in public, like calling it a piece of crap, but hey, let's go ahead and make it a #1 hit anyway. And it's, there's some parts of this movie I really like. There's some parts I'm just like,
I roll.
Like Alan Rickman's character in this movie, and Emma, it's just like, oh my gosh, this is not cool. But there's definitely good parts to it.
Yeah, Liam Neeson and the kid that plays his son, their story's really cute.
Yeah.
Hugh Grant, I like his story in this. It's a fun one. So
yeah, I will still talk about this. Like, and I forget I don't know the actress's name. I think she's done mainly British stuff, but it's Hugh Grant's love interest in this lady here, and everybody throughout the film's calling her fat.
I know. I am like incensed.
It's like
if she's fat, I'm a cow.
Like, she is not fat. Like, I don't know where I'm sitting like, what are you looking at? Like, it's absolutely insane. But I don't know. Like, I guess in England that's considered overweight. Whatever.
Us fat Americans just wouldn't know.
Well, we got to go grab a cheeseburger. So.
I mean.
Now, one thing I will say here, you may be looking at this if you've watched our Christmas movie collection where I went through all of those, and you may be going, wait a minute, this movie wasn't on there. Well, it's because I'm a dum-dum and I missed it on the shelf. So, there you go. It's a part of the Christmas movie collection.
Up next is the movie I actually got for Christmas, and that is The Meg.
Oh.
So you have to know about me that I love two things. I love movies that take place in the ocean, and I love movies that take place in space. And so, big old shark movie, heck yes, please. And I hadn't seen it yet. I know a lot of people don't didn't really care for this one that much. Thought it was kind of hokey, but I thought it was really fun.
Oh, I thought it was great. And
it is like, 2 hours of Jason Statham doing cool Jason Statham things, but...
Yeah. Normally, I'm not a fan of his movies because he just normally picks, like, the big, and I'm just going to say it, the big, dumb action kind of stuff.
It's like the new Jean-Claude Van Damme, what's that guy? Steven Seagal.
Yeah, it's kind of like that. Like, I'm always thinking, like, the Transporter movies and things like that. Crank, or there's another one, like, it's just like, whatever. Like, it's cool, but it's like, yeah, it's not my thing. But I really enjoyed him in this, and it was nice to see Rainn Wilson from The Office, Dwight from The Office in something, and I thought he played a great kind of, billionaire who's never really had any restrictions, is just kind of arrogant and pompous, and I thought he was really great in that too.
Yeah, it was good, and I think I thought the effects were really good in this too.
Yeah.
So that was cool.
Yeah. Oh my gosh! Like this, because I mean this movie's a couple years old, but like when they've caught the shark, and then they're all like taking pictures and stuff, and then the other shark comes. I was like, oh my gosh.
I know he always laughs at me because movies like this, when I know something bad's happening, and I'm just stressed out, I sit there and watch it like this until it's over.
And she's just like, no,
nope, nobody,
no.
nope, that's a bad idea. You shouldn't do that.
Yeah, but yeah, I thought it was really enjoyable. It's a great, kind of popcorn flick.
Yeah, it's definitely not going to make you think deeply about anything, but it was fun.
Acting! So another thing I watched by myself was actually not a physical media thing at all, and I'm really sad because it's on Netflix, and Netflix, the chances of a physical media release is like 1 in a million. But being a huge Zack Snyder fan, I finally watched Army of the Dead. Like, I've been kind of behind in the movie world this year as far as current releases go, but I'm trying to get caught up. But watched it, and it's a Zack Snyder movie. If you like Zack Snyder, you're gonna love this movie. I thought it was fantastic. The action was great. It did a good job of like creating some new wrinkles within zombie movies that I wasn't quite prepared for. I also thought it was really interesting that while zombies are very much a featured focal point, it's not the entire focal point of the movie, and it's just they framed everything in just a really brilliant way. And I understand there's a sequel, and then there's also a prequel with one of the characters, the Safecracker from that movie. They did a prequel as well, and they're also doing an animated movie as well on Netflix there. So it's like this whole dead universe. But I'm so happy to see that. For it being a stream on Netflix, it looked great as well. Just really satisfied. And the other thing that was really interesting too, and this is something that I know that you sometimes have qualms about, again, kind of going back to the gore thing, is the gore was really heavy up front, like the zombie gore especially. But then once you kind of got past the opening part, it kind of just went more into a traditional heist movie. So I thought it was really interesting the way that he played that, and so I'm excited for more. I can't wait to see more. Would love to see a 4K release on it, physical media release, but of course it's Netflix. It's not going to happen. So, boo.
Another thing we watched on streaming was also another Christmas movie, and it was our first time watching the Christmas Chronicles with Kurt Russell as Santa Claus. And he makes such a good Santa. He looks so good.
Yeah.
It was a cute movie. His dad was super, super into it and wanted to watch it at Christmas. And so when we went over their house to do our Christmas with them, that's what we watched. And it was a fun watch for sure.
Yeah, that, like, you have to know my dad to know that Christmas movies are really not his thing. And so whenever he's excited about a Christmas movie and, like, he's like, no, you gotta watch this, it's great, then you know that it's something you should pay attention to. But yeah, I thought Kurt Russell was great, and that the kids were cute in it. And it's funny, like, of course, in the middle of it, Santa Claus is singing and everything. It's like, oh wow, he does an Elvis impression really good. He should do that more often. But yeah, and because he does a great Elvis impression just in general. Throughout I know he did it in the Elvis biopic, but I think there was another movie like later on. I can't remember the name of it now, but I'm not gonna sit here and try to think of it. But yeah, it was a lot of fun, and we need to watch the second one.
Yeah, because they do the little sneak at the end where Goldie Hawn is Mrs. Claus, and I was like, well played.
Yeah, of course. Why wouldn't you have Goldie Hawn in there? So this one's one me and Charlotte watched together. And I bought this for a while back, and we hadn't watched anything on it yet. So we popped it in and just had a ball with it. But, of course, she loves Mothra. I love that she loves Mothra. So we watched Rebirth of Mothra 1. And I forget the name of it in here, but it's like Ghidorah is the monster that's fighting. It's Ghidorah with like extra legs is the way I would describe it. And even with the name, it's like, why didn't you just make it Ghidorah? I don't understand, but whatever. But it is a really cute kids movie. The little I forget the name of, but like the little fairies, they ride a little miniature Mothra that's like all pastel colors, and its name is Fairy.
Oh, that's cute.
Oh my god, yeah, it's cute as a button. Like every time that was on the screen, Charlotte was just like stuck to the screen. It was awesome, but yeah, it was really cute, and I can't wait to watch the other two with her.
Next up was another Charlotte watch, and it was one that neither of us had watched in a long time, but we picked it up on 4K, and that's Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. Mm-hmm. And she flippin' loved it.
Yes, she did. And this is one I haven't seen in a long time, and this is actually the first time we bought it on physical media, which is stunning that neither one of us had it on like DVD or Blu-ray.
Yeah, it's one I watched a ton growing up, so I don't know how I managed to never buy it, but I don't know. I feel like I was that way with a lot of those kind of kid movies that I just sort of never got them. It was like that wasn't my priority when I was first creating my collection, and so I just didn't have them.
Yeah, that's true, because I mean, back then they were always on TV, and I will say I'm glad that we waited though, because that was gorgeous on 4K.
It was.
I've seen some other YouTubers that ranked it, one of the top 10 4K releases of the year, and I'm inclined to believe it. It was great. Great movie, and Charlotte loved it, which again, I love whenever we show her stuff and she just like gets all excited. That's really great as a parent.
Yeah, because she was kind of unsure about it, and then she got completely sucked in, especially once they first walk into the room with all of like the chocolate river and all of the candy things around and stuff, and the giant gummy bears.
Yeah, and then the music. I mean, the Oompa Loompas start coming in with all the music. Yeah, I mean, it was a little bit of a tough sell to be in. But, oh yeah, she loved it.
Yeah, she definitely did. It was worth it.
Yeah.
Next up, we've got Karate Kid, and I had not watched this in such a long time. I feel like that's a theme in this one. Like we picked up a lot of movies that were like old favorites, and I forgot how much I loved this and how cool Mr. Miyagi is. Like the whole time you're just like, yeah, Mr. Miyagi.
Yeah, he's definitely the kind of wise elder trying to teach the young guy, and
But he's so sassy.
yeah, he's so awesome. It's so great. And the only thing I kind of like go in and it's like. It's interesting. I feel like he doesn't teach that much that compared to everyone else who's been doing, karate and stuff for, a long time, a lot of their childhood. And then he just kind of goes in and kicks everybody's butt. Like, it's like, whatever. It's like, I guess it's the Mr. Miyagi touch.
I don't know. I mean, he definitely worked for it. It wasn't like he had an easy time getting through that tournament.
He did. But I love like the way they set everything up with he's doing all this housework and he gets mad about it, and then sort of showing him like, oh, all these motions, yeah, that's what the housework was for. That was probably one of my favorite parts of the movie.
Yeah, because it's like all about like him getting the discipline to like practice those moves and build those muscles and all of that stuff. It's just cool. Yeah. It was so good.
Quintessential great 80s movie.
Yes.
So once again, we're talking about preparing for a movie that I haven't watched yet, or we haven't watched yet. So, of course, No Time to Die came out back in like November, and still haven't watched it. Didn't go to the theater. We have it now on 4K. We're getting ready. We're ready and willing to watch it, but we need to get caught up first. At least I did. I always like to kind of watch some of these movies first before I watch the next movie, kind of a thing, just to kind of refamiliarize myself. And it's been a long time since we watched Daniel Craig Bond, so I went back and I watched Casino Royale. Mwah. Absolutely amazing. Perfect. One of the greatest Bond movies ever. It's just one of my favorites going back a long time. Of course, watched Quantum of Solace as well. It works purely as a follow-up to Casino Royale. As a standalone Bond movie, I would agree with most people. It's definitely one of the weaker Bond movies, but as a follow-up to Casino Royale, it is a strong movie in that regard. And then, of course, Skyfall, which we both adore.
Yes. And I love the other ones too. It just, when we were talking about rewatching, like those are great, but I felt like we had watched them a lot.
Yeah.
And so I didn't feel the need to rewatch those as much. But Skyfall is one of my like all-time favorites, and so I had to rewatch that one.
Yeah, I think it's definitely between this one and Casino Royale for it being, my favorite of the Craigs. Of course, without seeing No Time to Die. But we're gonna watch Spectre here probably sometime in the next couple of days. And then we will sit down and absolutely go in with No Time to Die and finish out the Craig series, because it's just, I'm really sad to see it go. I think he's been absolutely phenomenal as Bond.
Yeah, we'll finish Craig and then we'll cry.
Absolutely.
Next up is another Charlotte-centered flick, but one that we also just hadn't seen, and she actually had already seen. She went to see this with her Nana and Pop at the movies in this, like, the kids' summer movie series at the movie theater last year. And so it's Into the Spider-Verse. We had just never seen it, and I'm so sorry that I hadn't, because it was so much fun.
This is one of my great shames right here, is not having seen this. Like, this, it was like one of those things like where other like friends and stuff would kind of talk about it, and I'd be like, yeah, and then like I'd never seen it. And so it's like one of those things you don't want to cop to, but I'm gonna go ahead and cop to it now, just for the sake of honesty. But yeah, this is spectacular. I'm so excited there's a sequel coming out. Like, this was great, like awesome, amazing, and yeah, Spider-Man fans are eating well right now. Let's just put it that way.
I would just like to point out that I am salty that Chris Pine did not last very long in that movie.
Yeah, I feel like, Chris Pine in superhero movies, like, bad things are going to happen.
And it hurts my feelings, all of them.
Yeah.
Every single one.
So, and yeah, as far as Spider-Man No Way Home, still haven't seen it. I guess we'll just wait for either the 4K or one day when, the theaters, we feel a little bit more comfortable going to theaters. So
or they're not sold out.
Or when it eventually comes straight, I don't know. But yeah, that's one of my great frustrations, is that I still haven't seen that movie. But whatever.
Next up is one, this is actually, I think we determined this is either the last or next to last movie that we saw in the theater. And that was Black Widow. And this was one that I don't think either one of us was particularly like anticipating a lot. Mm-hmm. It was just kind of like we were out on a trip and we had the opportunity to go to the movies and it was there.
Exactly.
And then I absolutely loved it. But Florence Pugh steals this movie.
Yeah,
like,
she is spectacular. And so glad that she's like becoming a part of the bigger universe and, part of the Hawkeye series and everything. Yeah, she's great. I mean, Scarlett Johansson, as always, is phenomenal. But, everything around that family dynamic, just that whole family is really funny. And I was really surprised to learn that they just didn't have a whole lot of time on the script here, because I really feel like overall it's really strong. And yeah, 2 thumbs up for me.
Yeah, I was really excited to finally watch it again once we actually picked it up on 4K. And just again, Florence Pugh, her timing is just impeccable as far as like delivering lines and getting that comedic timing right. So good.
Yeah.
All right, next up is another childhood favorite that we acquired and hadn't watched yet, which was Mary Poppins. Although, can I point out how flippin' long this movie is? How did I not realize how long this movie was when I was a kid?
Yeah, we're used to kid movies being like 90 minutes, and this thing goes out to like 2 hours and 10 minutes. It's a lot.
2 hours and 20 minutes.
Oh, yeah. I was thinking of another movie.
The other one's 2 hours and 10 minutes. So, yeah, I mean, it's a classic. He had never actually seen it all the way through.
Never had. And I thought, I guess I'm weird, but yeah. I mean, I feel like it's one of those movies that, like, it's so well known that, like, even if you haven't seen it, you've seen it, kind of a thing.
Yeah, like, the main parts of it.
And like all the really iconic songs, because they're everywhere, especially as a kid. So
yeah,
I thought it was good.
So then to follow that up, when neither of us had ever actually seen, was Mary Poppins Returns with Emily Blunt.
And she is awesome.
Yes, she was a really, really good follow-up to Julie Andrews. I appreciated that a lot. Mm-hmm. I liked that this movie, like, definitely paid homage to the original movie, but kind of did its own thing a little bit too. Mm-hmm. Lin-Manuel Miranda was really cool as Jack. Yeah. The guy that plays Q in the Daniel Craig Bonds is Michael, the older version of Michael, which I was like, oh, because I love him as Q.
Yeah, he's really cool in this role, and yeah.
But it was really good. I think the songs were probably, I would say would probably be equally as catchy if I had heard them as many times as I'd heard the original ones.
Yeah, it's like if you flip-flopped it and you heard the ones from the second movie first and a million times, yeah, definitely. But I thought it was really strong, and for it being, 50-something years between movies, pretty good.
Yeah,
definitely. I think it all hinges on who plays Mary Poppins, and yeah, she nails it, which, come on, between Emily Blunt and John Krasinski, do they really do anything that loses? No, they don't. So this next one here is one that I picked out, and I was really interested because, of course, love spy movies between Bond, Mission Impossible, anything else, and was really intrigued by this, but just haven't seen it yet. Kingsman, Secret Service. This one I think is definitely more bonkers than like modern day Bond or Mission Impossible. To me, it very much harkens back to like the Roger Moore Bond movies in a lot of ways, and just kind of a little bit more outlandish, a little bit crazier, zanier. But I think this does a great job of building that universe. Of course, they've done others. They did a sequel. I think they're doing a prequel now. But I think this was a great universe builder, and I really loved it. Although I will say Samuel L. Jackson as the villain in this, I feel like he was just bored, and he was like, you know what? I'm just gonna have a lisp in this movie. Like that's really it. But I mean, just everybody in this. I mean, Colin Firth was phenomenal. I mean, Mark Strong. I mean, these are just some of the great actors of our time, and I mean, they're just killing it. And of course, the guy in this, I forget what his name is.
Eggsy?
Yeah, the guy who plays Eggsy. I mean, he was really good in this role too. I mean, it's a great movie, and just really zany, full of action.
And the funny thing about this is this definitely qualified in the like high on violence category.
Yeah.
But they may get like super campy.
Yeah, they do.
Like purposely ridiculous campy.
Yeah.
The part at the end, oh my god. With the heads. I can't. If you know, you know.
If you know, you know, yeah. It was like whenever that started happening, it's like, what is going on?
Like, all right, we just went for it. Let's go.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, but I definitely we do have bought the second one as well, so I'm definitely excited to get that one and see how it looks, and then eventually move on to the Kingsman later.
Because we sadly lost Betty White in the past week.
Oh, that's so sad.
We decided to watch The Proposal and see Betty White play Grammy.
And she is hilarious.
Yes, she's super funny in this role. Her like out doing her dance, like thanking Mother Earth and all of that, and then Sandra Bullock coming out and dancing with her and stuff. I love that part.
I mean, she's got so many great lines in this film, but at the same time, like, Ryan Reynolds and Sandra Bullock are just, I mean, they're feeding off each other. It is a really funny movie, and normally I am not a fan of romantic comedies. And on the face of it, the premise for this leaves me a little dubious, is whenever I first watched it a while back. But then you watch it and the execution of it, it just works. And come on, my boy Ryan Reynolds, he knows what he's doing. So I got to ride with this film. It's great.
Well, and this one definitely hits a little bit stronger in the physical comedy department too, which is something that Sandra Bullock is kind of known for, I think, in her more comedic films.
Yeah, that's true.
Because I always think about Miss Congeniality. I mean, she was all about the physicality in that one.
Yeah.
And so I think it definitely leans more toward the comedy than the romance.
Yeah, like the dog and the eagle scene,
gosh.
and then the two where they run at each other naked. Like, yeah, there's some great moments.
And I love the whole thing with the baby maker quilt, and she's like, every time they get something, she's like, no, not the baby maker, not the baby maker.
All right, so the last one we watched, which was actually last night, was hey, it's Tom Hanks. Can you really go wrong with Tom Hanks? Big. Oh my gosh. I mean, this is just like one of the great 80s films. It's so wonderful. There's definitely a little bit of a creep factor to it, but you just kind of have to move past that a little bit. But once you do move past that, it's just a really, really great movie, and it definitely has a heart at the center of it, and it takes a concept that could be really ridiculous at its heart and kind of grounds it in a way that makes sense. But then if you were all of a sudden a kid that was thrust into being an adult, how would you react? And Tom Hanks does a wonderful job with that.
Yeah, it's like he realizes slowly, like as he goes through it, kind of he has this moment of like, oh, I've like forgotten what it's like to be a kid, which I think we've all as adults had that moment of, wow, I don't remember what this feels like anymore.
Yeah.
And that's when he decides he wants to go back. So I think that's kind of where you get it, right here.
Yeah, and I think we all, I mean, you said it, we all have that moment where we're busy trying to, do well in our jobs and, provide security for each other and everything. And then even with, Charlotte, it's like you just kind of sit back and you go, huh. It kind of, I think having kids sometimes kind of centers you a little bit in that regard, if you allow it to.
It's the whole thing that Paul Rudd says in Knocked Up, where he's like, I wish I loved anything as much as my kids love Bubbles. It's that feeling.
Exactly. So whereas, it's like as you get older, like your threshold for entertainment and joy, it's like it goes up for like what you need. And so like anything less than that is almost disappointing. So I think the people that can actually lower that threshold and keep that threshold low are the ones that are happy as adults. Mm-hmm. So yeah, there's a little philosophy for you here at the end of the video. So
all right, well, that was our not as large as it could have been. What are we watching? Is it any of the stuff that you've watched? Did you enjoy it? Let us know in the comments. Don't forget to check us out on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook in between videos if you're looking for more content or just want to interact with us. And don't forget also that we have merch, so you can check the link down below. Buy a shirt, a mug, or whatever you want, and support the channel. Help us buy more movies to talk to you about. And I think that's all we've got for you today. So with that, thank you so much for watching. I'm Michelle.
I'm Chris.
We're D's Nerds, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.